이번 동영상에서는 마할라노비스 디스턴스라는 재미있는 개념에 대해 설명드리고자 합니다. Mahalanobis distance is a measure of a distance between a point and the distribution D, introduced by P.G. Mahalanobis in 1966. 데이터 분포 D와 어떤 데이터점 P와의 거리를 측정하는 개념으로 Mahalanobis distance라는 게 제안이 되었습니다. It is a multi-dimensional generation of the idea of measuring how many standard deviations away from P is from the mean of D, and it grows as P moves away from the mean along each principal component axis. If each of these axes is least squared to have unit variance, then the Mahalanobis distance is the unit distance scale invariant and take into account correlation of the data set. Definition of Mahalanobis distance given a probability distribution Q on R n-dimensional with mean mu vector is like this, and the positive definite covariance matrix S, and the Mahalanobis distance of a point X from Q is 이렇게 돼요. X minus mu vector transpose S inverse X minus mu A root. Given two points X and Y in n dimension, the Mahalanobis distance dm between them with respect to Q에 대해서 그 two points X와 Y의 거리는 X minus Y transpose S inverse X minus Y 여기다가, which means that the dmxq dmx mu q가 되는 거죠. y 대신 mu가 되는. Since C is positive definite, so S inverse, thus the square roots are always defined. By the spectrum theorem, S inverse can be decomposed as like this. S inverse W transpose W. For some real n by n matrix W, X minus Y transpose S inverse X minus Y X minus Y transpose S inverse W transpose W니까 이렇게 해서 이렇게 되죠. Which this is Euclidean. This is Mahalanobis distance is Euclidean distance after whitening transformation. Whitening transformation. A whitening transformation or spearing transformation is a linear transformation that transforms a vector of random variables with a known covariance matrix into a set of new variables whose covariance is the identity matrix, meaning that they are uncorrelated and each have the variance 1. Variance. In probability theory and statistics, variance is expectation of a scalar deviation of random variable from its population mean or sample mean. Variance is a measure of a dispersion, meaning it is a measure of how far a set of numbers is spread out from the average value. The variance is the scale of a standard deviation, the second central moment of a distribution, and the covariance of a random variable with itself, and it is often represented by sigma scale as a scale variance X or variance. 그럼 variance를 한번 살펴보고 화이트닝 트랜스포메이션. Mahalanobis distance가 그 데이터하고 어떤 점하고 비교한 거고, 또 이제 두 개의 베이타를 또 리스펙트 Q 어떤 디스트리뷰션의 관점에서 또 거리를 한 거. 그 다음에 스펙트럴 시어제에서 S 인버스가 이렇게 구해줄 수 있다면 이게 이렇게 디파인, 유클리디안 놈처럼 디파인 된다 이거죠. 이렇게 W 구하는 걸 화이트닝 트랜스포메이션 그러죠. 네. 이상입니다.